What up, though? It's your boy Woody Funny, and I'm back with another story. Um, I like doing these stories, man. I think I'm gonna continue to do them, and so yeah, it's basically just stories about me growing up. These are stories that I can't necessarily do on the stage just because they're a little time consuming, but to me they funny stories. So I just want to share them with y'all, and I got one today. Um, we're gonna call this story "No Heroes" Part One. No Heroes Part One, and it's basically the story of the time that my love for wrestling almost got me disowned and thrown in jail as a kid. so, so gotta know, man. Growing up in Dallas, me and my brother and my cousins and my friends, we all loved wrestling back in the '80s. In the '80s, man, wrestling was everything to us. Um, in my apartment complex, there was a guy, Icky. Icky was a single father that lived in our apartment complex. He had two sons, and they were roughly the same age as me and my brother. And he would get his sons every other week, and he'd pick them up like on Fridays, and then he would come to the apartment complex, and he would get me and my brother, and then he would take all of us to the sportatorium to watch live wrestling. I mean, some the Von Erichs, gentleman Chris Adams, Eric Embry, uh, uh, Iceman King Parson, like Mama say, it bees that way sometimes. Like we would get to see all these guys that we watched on Saturday mornings. We would get to see them live on Fridays. I remember one time being in the stands and Carrie and Kevin came out on their way to the stage, and I reached out and I touched Carrie on the shoulder, and he had his fucking oil on him, and I smelled it. And I'm like, God damn, Carrie smelled like ass. He already stink. Yes, there's fucking grease on it. Smell like icy hot and booty holes. Weird, but love wrestling. Love the WWF. That was the big wrestling territory. WWF with Hulk Hogan. Oh yeah, brother. What are you gonna do when the largest arms in the world are wrapped around you? And the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Macho Man was my favorite. Yeah, Hogan. When I get down to the ring, I'm gonna drop the big elbow on you. So I idolize wrestling. I grew up in a like a rough neighborhood, so we didn't have like a lot of role models. So these wrestlers were who we looked up to. We had no heroes, so the wrestlers were our heroes. Grew up in a single parent house. My old man wasn't around, and I had one friend though. This cat named Waylon. My friend Waylon Grant. He had a mama and a daddy, and they lived in the houses. And I guess his mom and dad were well off because his dad would take him to like sporting events all the time. He'd go to the Maverick game and come back with a T-shirt from a Reunion Arena or a Cowboy or Ranger game, like all the time. His dad was always doing something for him. It's the coolest shit in the world. And one time they took him to a WWF event, and Waylon came back with the coolest shit me and my brother had ever saw in our life. He had replica belts for all the belts. He had a he had a heavyweight championship belt, he had the Intercontinental Championship belt, and he had replicas for the two tag team belts that he subsequently lost in a steel cage backyard handicap match, which means me and my brother jumped his ass and took his belt. So now I was a heavyweight championship belt. Quincy was the Intercontinental champion, and we were the tag team champions. And on the weekends, we would ride our bikes around the neighborhood, taking on other families. Like around, like I lived in like I'm from Oak Cliff, Dallas, Texas. Oak Cliff, born and raised, lived in these apartments called Oak Glen. And back in the '80s, man, these apartments were rough. Like my mama would say the same thing to me and my brother every time we went outside. Every time, don't let that street light touch your ass. Be where you can hear me, and don't fuck with those needles. Which means when it starts to get dark, be in the house before the street lights come on. I always be where you could hear her, because when she finished cooking dinner, she'd call, "Get your ass in the house!" And you better come and running. And the hypodermic needles would be all over the back of the apartments where we played. So yeah, and so we was always told to stay away from those. But when we would see those needles, something else that we would always notice would be these little green baggies, these little sandwich bags that would be next to the needles. We wouldn't fuck with the needles, but they had these little empty sandwich bags that me and my brother could not figure out. Like, what are these for? You can't put no sandwich in these. You could probably put a nickel or a dime in it. But we would collect them. We would collect them, because what would happen is, when me and my brother would defend our belts, we were like the heels. I mean, which meant we were the bad guys in wrestling. That's how we liked it. And we would do like Kabuki and Kamala when they would blow that powder in people's face. We would use those green bags. We took them home and put baby powder in them. Packed them up. Had about 20 of them motherfuckers. We packed them up, baby powder, and what we could do, we could put them in the waistband of our underwear, and then during the match, if we ever got in the bind, we just pull one of those out, put the powder in our hand, blow it in our opponent's face. And one of the rules of wrestling is, if you get powder blown in your face, whether that should affect you or not, the rules of wrestling say that you have to be affected. And with this, we were able to defend our belts against families all over the neighborhood. We was whooping everybody's ass because we was cheating. And I remember one day we came home from school, and my mom was sitting in the living room, and she was smoking a cigarette, and she was shaking, and she was crying. So me and my brother walked in. We was like, "Dang, what's wrong, mama?" And she looked at us, and she said, "What is this shit?" She had found the fucking baggies full of the powder. She said, "What is this shit?" Now, me and my brother, we didn't know what to do, because we thinking we in trouble for using her powder, because it'd be shit like that around the house that she tell us not to fuck with. Don't fuck with the powder, don't fuck with alcohol. So we like, oh God, she done found this powder, we're gonna get our ass whooped over this powder. My mom made the mistake of calling what she thought was cocaine by a street name, powder. "Where'd y'all get all this powder from?" We say, "Mama, we just use a little bit of powder because we wrestling and we the champions and we trying not to lose our belt." And my mom's like, "Y'all did what? Y'all using it?" And we was like, "Yeah, we just use a little bit because we wrestling." Now, mind you, at this time, every fucking week back then, one of our favorite wrestlers was dying of a cocaine overdose, or they were just doing some shit. So we selling ourselves wrong. And my mom was like, "Y'all not selling this shit, y'all using it? Like, Mama, we just use a little bit of powder because we're trying to be champions." And she said, "Oh, Lord, y'all using this powder? Y'all using powder?" And she was going crazy. She ended up, I guess she had already called the police before we had got home. Because as soon as she started to, like, really go crazy, there was a knock at the door, and opened the door, and there was two cops. One white cop, one black cop. And they come in, and my mama crying, and they asking her, like, "Ma'am, just calm down. Tell us what happened." So she point to the bags of powder on the table, and me and my brother confused, like, "Damn, this bitch call the police on us?" She call the police on us over some powder? And she started telling the cops, like, "I found this powder, all this powder in my son's room, and they saying they using it, and I don't know where they got it from." So the cops are looking at the powder like, "Son, what are y'all doing with all this powder?" So they calling this shit powder too. So me and my brother like, "We just use just a little bit because we wrestling." And the black cop like, "Oh God, how old are y'all?" And we were like 7 and 5. It's like, "Y'all using it? Y'all ain't got to use this to be wrestlers. Y'all can be wrestlers without using the powder." And finally, one of the cops was like, "Son, you're not in trouble, but I need you to tell us, where did you get the powder from?" And who sold you the powder? Like, didn't nobody sell it to us. This is my mama powder. So the cops look at my mama, and my mama look at us like, "Ain't none of my goddamn powder. That's y'all fucking powder." And my brother get like, "Yes, it is, mama. It is your powder." And he get up and he run into her bathroom, and he come back with the bottle of Johnson & Johnson powder. And the cops would look like, wait. what's going on? They pick up one of the baggies. We done filled up with this powder. And he sniff it. He's like, ma'am, this baby powder. You didn't smell it? And I just remember my mom said, what the fuck I look like sniffing drugs? Get the fuck out of my house. So, yeah, that's a story, man, that me and my brother almost got disowned. My mom was ready to turn her back on our ass when we said it was her powder. But, yeah, this Woody Funny. I know this story is kind of long, but this part one, No Heroes, man. It's just an extension of the comedy, man. I appreciate y'all listening. Like it, share it, tag people. Find it on Facebook or YouTube, Woody Funny, Instagram, Woody Funny. And, yeah, man, shout out to the wrestlers. Those are heroes.